Now then, it's been a rollercoaster 24 hours on global stock markets. Wall Street shares seeing a massive U-turn in the middle of trading on Monday, bouncing back from what was a very severe slump. But markets are still down sharply in Asia today. Well, let's talk about the latest on that. Our business editor Stephen Carroll is joining us here on the programme. Take us first of all then through what happened on Wall Street.
It was the most volatile day on Wall Street since October of 2020. In fact, on some share indexes, we saw record moves in a single day. If we look at tech shares, we saw the biggest swing on the Nasdaq since the dot-com crash of 2001. The S&P 500 is the broadest measure of big American companies. It also had a pretty riotous day on trading on Monday as well. At around midday New York time yesterday, shares were down by 4% on the S&P 500. By the end of the day, they'd bounced back, and actually the share index finished with some small gains. Investors deciding in the middle of the day that they were going to jump in and start snapping up the bargains from the falls of shares that we'd seen in recent days. The S&P briefly fell into what's called correction territory, where it's down 10% from a recent market peak. But by the end of trading, all of the main shares on Wall Street had actually turned back into positive territory. That was the picture at the end of the day on Wall Street on Monday. But if you look at how those indexes have performed since the start of the year, only 25 days ago, they're down sharply. The Nasdaq in correction territory, down over 10% since the start of the year, and that's where, of course, the tech companies are focused. Some of the companies that have seen huge gains during the pandemic are now taking a lot of the pain, as we're seeing shares slump. Moderna, of course, now world famous because of their vaccine. Their shares down 38% since the start of the year. Netflix shares down almost 36%. Tesla shares down 12%. Now, we know Netflix's latest results had worried a lot of investors about what its future was going to be as well, but it gives you an idea of some of those companies that had seen big gains are now seeing the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, they're very impressive figures, aren't they? Well, that's the picture in the US then. What's happening on the share markets today, though?
Still more falls in Asian trading today. The Nikkei in Tokyo, for example, finishing down almost 1.7% at the end of the day. Falls across the board in the big Asian markets, as you can see there. Shanghai, the Hang Seng in Hong Kong, and the Kospi in Seoul as well. In Europe, we're actually seeing some gains at the start of trading. Now, these markets did see a big sell-off on Monday too. Not the same sort of scale as what we saw on Wall Street, though. The CAC 40 in Paris up over 1% at the start of the day. Italy's market also trading up, as we know the political moves over the new president are still happening there. Despite this positive trend in Europe, though, we're still expecting US shares to open lower when markets get trading underway later.
You can put your analyst hat on now, Stephen. Here's the big question. Why?
So a lot of this is to do with the Federal Reserve in the US. It's starting a two-day meeting today, and it's all the focus is what are they going to do about the problem of inflation. Inflation is at its highest rate in 40 years in the United States. The Fed's already signaled it's going to raise interest rates 3 times this year. The question the markets want to know now is when will that happen, and also potentially how large that first interest rate hike might be. Low interest rates have for years driven stock prices higher, so we're essentially going to see the reverse effort of it as interest rates rise. The other issue that's causing jitters on the market are the tensions on the border of Ukraine, the US putting troops on alert for potential deployment, not helping that situation, of course. The other factor in all of this is that we have seen stock markets hit record gains, record highs, I should say, so many times in recent years. It's become a pretty regular occurrence that we talk about a record on this Wall Street index or that one as well. And some people are saying it's just a case of what goes up must come down.
And one other thing just to add as well, you've also been looking at Bitcoin. It's slumped along with the stock markets, isn't it?
Now, Bitcoin is no stranger to big boom and bust cycles. If we take the example of from December 2017 to December 2018, Bitcoin lost 80% of its value. Another big rally started on Bitcoin at the end of 2020. It was a big gain from around $10,000 up to a peak of $69,000 at the end. Or rather in November of last year. This is the picture over the past month that we've seen on Bitcoin. That decline started towards the end of last year. It's continued into this year. Yesterday, we saw Bitcoin fall as low as $33,000, down around 50% from that peak. It seems to be caught up in that general market mood of people just moving around their money very quickly.
Stephen Carroll, a man with many graphs. Thank you very much. Our business editor, Stephen Carroll.